Welcome back to the Battery Podcast. I'm Aidan,
And I'm Jack.
and we are here back once again to get you ready for, I don't know, one of the more anticipated games of the season. I think it's a bummer it's coming too early, but the
I
Cannons are
would,
looking to get back on the winning ways against the Philadelphia Waterdogs this weekend.
yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It's weird. It's a Boston Philly. It's the best rivalry I think in the PLL thus
Agreed.
far. And so, it's cool. We started off with it in, our first weekend of the season. But yeah, now to already be playing, like there's so much lacrosse left to be played. It's 12 games now, and you're gonna play them game two and game four. So you're telling me that like this is well, I guess technically last weekend was the first weekend post college that you're starting to get these full rosters, but I mean, obviously we'll get into it a little bit more, but like McMeekin is playing this weekend. He wasn't ready to go last weekend. So, guys that obviously Spalina did play last weekend, but Will Donovan didn't play last weekend. So there were guys that played championship weekend that weren't ready to go last weekend. I guess Regnery still isn't dressing this weekend. Either just dropping spoilers here left and right. Not that they're really spoilers, because by the
You all
time
have
you're listening
Instagram.
to this, you know the roster already. But yeah, just the point that, that it feels like the wheels are really just starting to get going on the PLL season here, and we're already playing the second of a really important conference matchup. So the fact that we're just not going to see Philly for the rest of the year, don't love it.
Yeah.
However, at least, you know, it went so well last time out that it does give me a little bit of hope for a bounce back from last weekend's performance against Maryland. But yeah, don't love playing Philly twice in the first four games of the year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to build off a lot of what you said, like neither of these teams knows actually what their best roster is yet, right? Like, I mean, let's just get into it. So we're gonna see Logan Ip for the first time for Boston. We're gonna see Will Donovan for the first time for Boston. We're gonna see Andrew McMeekin for the first time. Maybe this is gonna be the best construction, the best 19 guys the Cannons can put out. But we don't quite know that yet. And then on the other side for the Water Dogs, CJ Kerr's playing his second game of the year. Um, but Brendan Staub playing his second game, and then Kyle Lewis playing his first for the Dogs, Josh Yago playing his second. And we can take another brief sidebar about Josh Yago because who even knows how long his career is going to be able to be. I think he's reporting to basic training next weekend. So, like, these might be the only two games he plays. And Gavin Adler isn't playing for the Dogs this weekend because he is hurt. Um, Feels like the Dogs might need a new goalie. We can talk about that. Um, they released Miles Jones today. They only have two D mids dressed. They have six guys technically dressed as O mid. You figure, Zach Carrier is probably going to take a lot of those reps on defense if they need it. Um, so yeah, it's just weird that I know when the Cannons and Dogs played the first time last year, CJ Curse wasn't in the lineup because he still had that broken hand, and that was when the Dogs beat Boston pretty comfortably. And then in the rematch, when Kurst was playing, I know Boston got the better of him. But you still feel like that was like each team's optimal lineup. So it's a bummer not to see that when you know you don't want to look at playoff seedings already, but with Philly's goal differential being what it is, and then with Boston, New York, and Philly all being one and two, like it's kind of hard to imagine all three of those teams missing the playoffs or making the playoffs rather. So potentially like this is the last game of the year. We're not going to see in like a best on best matchup. Um, but also like you said, hopefully that worked out for Boston really well 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So hopefully goes equally as well. And we really, I think if Boston wins 19-5 again, I think Philly can basically kiss their playoff chances goodbye because their goal differential would be like -30 at that point.
Let's hope for it.
Yeah. Um, let's talk about the Boston side of it. So we mentioned the new guys in the lineup, Donovan, um, and Ip. I guess talking about Donovan, that means Remy Reynolds comes out of the lineup, who I think we were all pretty pleasantly surprised by. When Hunter Smith came in, it was pretty clear that Reynolds was the better guy. So they let Fournier go and bumped Owen Grant up to LSM. Now he comes back down with Donovan coming in. Um, I'm really excited. He seems like a very similar style of player to Ethan Rawl with like I don't believe he's that big, but he's like a ground ball machine. He's really good at pushing the ball. I think he's a very solid defender. And you got to imagine he's also coming in pretty pissed off with how he lost the national championship to now his current teammate Andrew McMeekin in Princeton. So you hope that lights a fire in him to like it seemed to have lit a fire in Josh Yago for the Dogs. Not that he played all that great for them, but just the way he was talking pregame and postgame, just very very motivated to win and succeed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just for the record, Will Donovan, Notre Dame listed him at 6 foot 195, so bigger than Rawl, but not as big as Owen Grant.
Yeah,
So kind of a nice little bridge in between the two, if you will. But yeah, I agree there that Will Donovan coming in for Reynolds definitely a plus move there. No shade at Reynolds, but I think that like you just said that Will Donovan, stud prospect, played really well at Notre Dame, was shocked to see him fall to, what was it, 17 that we grabbed him at. So that's third round,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah. Or was it
No,
15?
a second.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whatever it was. He went later than he should have in the draft. And so yeah, having pairing him with Rawl up on the wing is a should be a great duo. And Owen Grant is, I like him at LSM. He is a lot of fun to watch there, but definitely I think fits well to have him bumping down low, uh, playing there on Keelty and now Hunter Smith. And hey, just because he's not at LSM doesn't mean he can't scoop up a ground ball and push it in transition. So, it could arguably have three LSMs basically on the roster with him there. So definitely excited to see him pop into I think we've had a lot of, it didn't feel like the Cannons were missing a lot of guys when the season started.
no.
Obviously they're Coach Holman has been very cognizant of not really creating a roster of NLL guys. There's very few that have that overlap, but it's still just, it felt like these aren't our guys. Like, just like the first couple of games, it's like, oh, interesting. Okay, like this guy's playing like Reynolds or
Yeah.
Fournier, for example. It's just like, this is the Boston Cannons. Okay, but I think reading the lineup today, this was the first time where I kind of looked through the roster and was like, okay, like yeah, this is the squad. I could see this being the 25 that they just roll with, and this working. So I'm definitely excited to see how that plays out on the field.
Yeah. I guess just to briefly touch back to OG, totally agree with what you said. Obviously, we know he can push the ball. He's got a couple two-pointers in his career. But also I think what we've seen from him in the first two games as a close defender seems like that's where he's played his best lacrosse as a PLL player. Um, I also remember just rewatching a highlight from the first Philly game where I think the ball kicked back over the midline to the Cannons defensive side of the field, and like Courier picked it up, and Grant was on him just with a two-hand chop right to the midsection.
Mm.
That I mean, it takes a lot for PLL like announcers and whatever to really react to, but immediately Quint was just like, "Oh my God, what a hack from Owen Grant!" So just where he can like enforce that physicality with more regularity, I think is just fantastic. Um, let's talk about probably the biggest change to the lineup, being the Tucci era in Boston is over. The TWO era. Um, so they cut him. They released him to the player pool earlier this week, and took Andrew McMeekin off the pup list. So he is going to make his PLL, his Cannons debut. I also, was looking at the Princeton website just before we started. He did wear 32 in college, so he's definitely getting a new number. We'll see what that is.
I think he was listed as 25
Okay,
on or 26 rather
26.
here
Nice.
on the game day, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
32 is technically available.
Well, it's available.
We're not seeing a 32 on the field. I haven't
Yeah.
seen one in a little bit.
Yeah, it's available until as long as or it's not available rather, I think as long as he's on the 25 man. Um but anyway, let's I just wanted to talk about some of his stats from college. Obviously, winning a national championship. I think he was fantastic in that national championship tournament, clearly playing through something. But he was above 50% every year in college, although his freshman year he did only play 5 games. But he was 41 to 79. So he went 51.9%, 55.1%, 51.2%, and then finished his career this year with 57.7%. So getting
Ooh,
better each year. Well, technically no, his junior year was a little bit down. Um, but I
but
think
ending on a high note there,
yes.
57%. I mean, we will take that.
Yeah, if the Cannons go 57% on the season, it'll seem like they're going 80.
Yeah.
Also, 6 goals, 4 assists his senior year. Um,
Okay.
yeah, on 13 shots. So honestly, it's like when he was given the opportunities, he did pretty well. And you figure a couple of those other shots were probably just possession ones where you like shoot and almost miss on purpose.
Right.
Um, and only 7 turnovers this last year. So, he's
I mean,
the pace
Tucci
is
had that this season already, I think.
just about. So you figure the pace of play is definitely going to be an adjustment for him. Obviously, the wings, the PLL brings those in. Um, so those
The
guys will
shot
be him a
clock.
little faster. The shot clock, yeah, obviously will get faster, certainly, especially if he's winning faceoffs. To
Yeah.
go from an 80-second shot clock to 32 is going to seem very fast, but I think he's definitely a good athlete. Listed at 6'1", 225. Whereas I think we looked at Farrell is listed as like 6'1" or 6'2" and 240. Um, and I know he's
That's
got,
still a good sized frame. I mean,
oh
like
yeah,
no one is other than Baptiste is matching Farrell, but
yeah, and I think Baptiste is only actually listed as like
he's I
6 feet
don't is
220
he
or
even
something like
six
that.
feet?
I think he's listed at 6 feet, so he's probably 5'11".
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I'm excited to see what this is because I don't know if he's as fast per se as Tucci, but he's certainly just as athletic. He can score when you give him the opportunity. I mean, he's faster than Connor Farrell, that's for sure. Again, no shade to Connor Farrell. He knows he's not fast. We saw it in that interview clip with him and Tucci from a couple weeks ago. Um, so yeah, it also obviously reuniting with his college teammate Coulter McAsee. Um,
Yeah.
hopefully there's not too much tension between him and Will Donovan, but I mean, you got to figure
They're
Donovan.
teammates now.
Yeah, Donovan had to have slashed McMeekin at least once during that game, right? Like he was
Probably.
playing a lot of wings. So, I mean, I know a lot of these guys played together and against each other, like from high school and till now. So, uh,
It,
it'll be water
it's
under the bridge.
all in between the white lines. Like
Yeah.
they're definitely I can't imagine there's bad blood.
No.
They're boys now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if not, they will be when they kick the crap out of Philadelphia this weekend.
Absolutely.
Um, I think maybe just two more lineup things to talk about. So, as you mentioned a couple minutes ago, Asher Nothing's still not in the lineup. Brian Kelly gets another shot. Feels
Yep.
like you got to keep rocking with him until he proves he slips up or or gets hurt, obviously. I
Knock on
know,
wood.
yeah.
Yeah. But I
Um,
mean, yeah, Brian Kelly deserves to play. He came in, obviously we wanted Asher to rebound, did not look good against Carolina. Made sense that they switched to Brian Kelly the second game against Philly. Great debut. And so it was a question last week. Will they stick with him? Will they not? And yeah, you ride with the hot hand. Obviously it wasn't a great week for the Cannons last week, but I think he still had 2-1. So
yeah,
he was still producing, was one of the bright spots, honestly, one of the few bright spots on the team last week. So absolutely, you know, he's producing, he's playing. That's his spot until he stops producing. I think at this point, there's no reason. Uh, uh, it's wild, but the Asher could lose it so quick. But that's just the nature of the PLL with 8 teams. Miles Jones was picked up by the Waterdogs and released by the Waterdogs. That just happens in this league. Guys just can lose it like that if someone else comes in, plays well, and takes their spot. And that's exactly what Brian Kelly's doing. So good for him, and I'm happy to keep him in there because it, the offense certainly looked better with him against Philly than it did with Asher against Carolina. And last week, what like I said, last week wasn't great, but he's seems to be comfortable quarterbacking there, and the offense is, or I mean, it's like it was really the defense was the issue for the Cannons last week more so than the offense. So keep running it with him.
yeah, absolutely. I think I totally agree with everything there. I mean, I know you agree with this. Just want to say clearly, like we want everyone on the Cannons to do well, right? Like we're not rooting against
Oh,
Asher, we're not rooting against Brian. Like we want them both to be all pro caliber players, so that Brian Holman has a really tough decision on who he's going to play at attack. It's unfortunate, obviously, seeing the way Asher has fallen off the last couple of years. But if he can go back to a 2020 season,
it,
like please,
I mean, yeah, he and Marcus were the dynamic duo. He was one of the faces of the franchise. We thought, rising star MVP candidate. We we had him on the pod before the season, and we were fired up for it. He was talking about how good he felt, and I was fully bought into the 2025 was a blip, and that we were going to get the same old Asher that we saw before. And unfortunately, it was the 2025 Asher, and Brian Kelly rightfully got his chance in the second game of that first weekend, and he's run with it. So let him keep running.
yeah, totally. Um, I'm curious now. For sure in Rhode Island they had his jersey for sale in the tent. So I wonder when I go into Fairfield and then to Harvard,
Mm,
if Holman's obviously going to be one of those jerseys still sold. I wonder if like, will we just have a bunch of them, so we got to bring them, or um, like maybe it'll be Mikey Weissar, but really it feels like Matt Campbell is one of the faces of the Cannon. So hopefully, if they have a second jersey, especially at homecoming, that it's going to be his.
yeah,
Um,
you
yeah.
might have to put those things on sale.
Yeah. Like I can't believe I still saw like 2024 Pat Kavanaugh jerseys for sale, like full price or at least not discounted more than the other 2024.
Really?
Yeah. Uh they might be gone by now, but I'm like you got to be pretty out of touch to want to pay $70 or whatever that is to give the to your kid or to
The
get it for yourself.
Cannons Kavanaugh jersey? Yeah.
Yeah. Um All right. Other new face, Logan Ip gets his first crack. Um, I did see him for a second down in Rhode Island. Obviously not dressed, but a lot of the Cannons were down there watching the guard charging game up until halftime. So just got to say hello to him and wish him the best. I know Coach Holman had a lot of positive things to say, and just talking about how he was kind of turned into a feeder at the end of his Harvard career because he was getting the pole, getting slid to a lot. Um, and I can pretty much guarantee that's not going to happen this weekend in Philly or against Philly. Because the poll is going to be on Matt Campbell, and if Matt Campbell's not on the field, it's going to be on Mikey Weissar, and if Mikey Weissar's not on the field, it's probably going to be on Mick Kelly or Connor Kirst. So um, he's going to see a lot of who is it, and they're also only dressing two D mid, so he's going to get a lot of Charlie Hayes, a lot of Matt Witcher, a lot of Zach Courier. Um, Now, I mean, Courier still scares me because Courier can do everything, but he's going to get at least percentage wise the best matchups he's seen in a long time.
Mm.
And so we'll see. I think a lot of rookies can be a little scared to take over and to try to take their shots. It can be pretty tempting to try to give the ball up, especially when you can pass to someone like Matt Campbell or Marcus Holman or Coulter McAsey. So if he gets those opportunities, because you got to figure, if the Cannons are doing what they're doing, what they did the first time against Philly, that players are going to have some open looks. So hopefully that he gets to, hopefully he has the confidence to stick those. And we see one of, it feels like we've seen, well, yeah, we have seen the most new players because of all the college overlap stuff. We see the latest guy get his first career goal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mikey Weishar certainly wasn't afraid to
Yeah,
go after it in his debut. So, maybe he can, talk to the fellow Rook, give him some words of advice, and Logan Ip can just do what he does. But yeah, definitely excited to see his game, even just from the Boston fan perspective. Got
yeah,
another. I know I think he's from California, so not quite the governor with the true born and raised everything made here, but he played his college ball here, so we're claiming him. Sorry,
absolutely.
Redwoods, he's ours now. Um, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think you said it best that he out of the how many middies are they dressing five? Out of the five middies, I would say that he is fifth on the scouting report in terms of drawing a poll. So I do like his chances. I feel like we could definitely see him dodge and get open and hopefully he puts one in the back of the net.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I mean, yeah, nothing else to add. Maybe we could flip to talking about the dog side of it. We'd hope to have Brett from the Canine Crew back here. Didn't quite work out with the scheduling, but we are seeing some new faces for the dogs that were not in the lineup. I think it was 3 calendar weeks ago, 2 game weeks ago. Um, First among those, of course, CJ Kirst, who is very scary as an individual. I mean, very nice as a person, very scary as an opponent. Um, but the Cannons did win the game that he played in last year against Boston. Um, and as well, we saw, the chaos defense is fantastic, and obviously Blaze is, I would still say, the best goalie in the league. Um, but again, everything came from the attack for the Waterdogs last weekend. It was, I just looked this up earlier. Thomas McConvey had one goal, and then Zach Courier and Josh Yago had one assist each. All the other point production was from the attack line. So 7 other goals and however many assists. And if that happens again, definitely I like the Cannons odds. But as I said, they are technically dressing an extra offensive midi, so they increase their chances of getting some midfield production by that method, if nothing else. Um, Josh Yago and Kyle Lewis also faces who weren't in the lineup a couple weeks ago. Um, I mean, Yago had also just an awesome career for Notre Dame. Well, his career was only one year
Yeah.
at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played well at Air Force too, though.
Yes, to earn that spot at Notre Dame. Um, though, as I said, just one assist against Carolina. Um, I mean, if they can pass the ball like Maryland, like their chances, but it's really hard to pass the ball like Maryland. And then Kyle Lewis, I confess I don't know that much about since Division two, there's only so much lacrosse that you're able to watch in a weekend. Um, although I do know he scored the overtime championship winning goal for Adelphi in 2025. And then Adelphi did go back to the championship in 2026 and lost to Tampa. So you figure maybe similar to Yago to Donovan, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and obviously, he got the championship the previous year, but to kind of end your college career on a championship loss like that has gotta sting.
Yeah.
Um, and then Brendan Staub as LSM, and no Gavin Adler. I believe he has a leg injury. The Gavin Adler story has been such a fascinating one in lacrosse where you figure, I mean, just the fact that the reigning defensive player of the year left his team that he won a championship with is like
Hmm.
noteworthy in and of itself.
Hmm.
And then also like he hasn't made the Philadelphia defense better, right? Like they gave up 14 their first game and won. They gave up 19 their second game. They only gave up 10 in their third game, but they lost that one as well. Um, really, certainly those first two are problems much more than the third. But I think the first week it's kind of hard to take too much stock in it, but games two and three, like just yeah, I'm just surprised at how kind of out of sorts they've been. Maybe losing Dylan has hurt them because he is similar like Danny Logan or Ryan Terefenko, like that fifth pole out there that you just don't have to worry about. Um, and they lost Matt Witcher for that first game, so you have Nakai Montgomery playing defense and was it Charlie Hayes and oh shoot, who was in the lineup that game? Eldridge is on the protected roster. Um, my point is like it wasn't necessarily their A team of defensive midfielders.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Do any of those players, I mean, aside from probably CJ Kurst, like any of those guys give you pause or give you something to worry about for the
I mean,
Cannons?
they've got a good lineup on offense. Obviously, you have Kirsten, you have Sowers and uh, McCarl, but so theoretically, y- those guys are always tough to play against, but. So yeah, you always have to think about them, but honestly, no, they don't concern me. I think that mm, the Cannons have seen them enough times that that they know who they are, and the recent history against the Waterdogs from a Cannons perspective has been a positive one, a good one, outside of the basically ever since the that brutal playoff loss in 23, I think yeah, technically the Waterdogs won that they split the series last year, but between Champ Series 2024 and then the more recent of the two games last year, everything's been turning up cannons, and of course this
Champs,
week the champs are well, and of course the first game
right?
in Rhode Island this year. So just it, Philly's a tough team. That they've got a good offense, but does anyone scare me? No. Do they have guys? Uh crossing sports, but like the Patriots taking or getting AJ Brown. Now it gives them a weapon in the offense where you have to game plan for him specifically. We need to know where he is on the field. Uh and so that changes the way a defense runs. Philly has honestly two guys like
Yeah,
that on attack with Sowers and Kirst. So it theoretically it should scare you, but I think just because the Cannons have had so much success against the Waterdogs the last few years. No, I don't think they don't scare me because they are unknown and it's something that we have proven that the Cannons have proven that they can shut them down and overcome them and find a way to win.
Yeah, I think overall I do agree with you. I know um I think Sowers and CJ Kirst are just they're always going to give me a little bit of worry because I know that that first game in 2025 Sowers went off for like 6 or 7 points. Um but you're right. I believe in their last 6 games the Cannons are 5-1 against Philly, something like that. Which even in the PLL's mic'd up from that weekend. Marcus Holman said at some point like uh I forget exactly what it's been, but it was something like, this team's been good to us, or like we've done well against this team uh
Hmm.
recently. So you figure players in both locker rooms know that. I think it's probably hard not to with such a small league, such a small number of teams, especially ones that really don't like each other so much. Apparently Ben Randall refused to trade to the Cannons in this offseason.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I
missed that.
I forget where I heard it from. I want to say it was OTB, but it might have been somewhere else. Where yeah, apparently, Brian Holman had inquired, and maybe Bill Tierney was willing, but I guess Ben Randall said no. So he went to Denver instead.
Okay.
Yeah, but which I love because one, I don't think the Cannons needed Ben Randall necessarily, and two, it's like that shows that that rivalry is like real, beyond just
Yeah.
what fans want it to be, or like some on-field. I know Colin Kirst, who was also like that whole family, the nicest guys, had that like got in the face of Zach Currier last year, um, and had a little shouting match, a little pushing and shoving. So like yeah, I guess that kind of stuff is carried on off the field as well. Um, just makes me I think it's more fun when you care about it. The losses sting more, but the wins are certainly sweeter, as I think we can all attest to. Everyone in Boston after after 19-5.
Could agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
Um, and then like I said earlier, it is too soon to be really worried about the playoffs, but if the Cannons do win, um, even if they only win by one, that puts their goal differential at least +4 and Phillies at -15. Um, if somehow they win by, I think winning by 14 again is unrealistic, but even if they win by 3, 4, 5, um, that would, obviously it gives them a win over Philly, puts Philly in last, um, unless the Atlas managed to lose by like 20. And then just with the goal differential that each team would have, it would give Boston a really nice cushion where we saw kind of the opposite happen, where Maryland's win by 14 over Carolina gave them enough of a cushion that goal differential was never going to be a concern for them in the tiebreaker. Basically, they just had to keep pace with everyone the rest of the year. And that wasn't even over a divisional opponent. Like if instead of beating Carolina by that much, if they had beaten Boston or New York or Philly by that much, like it would have not guaranteed them a playoff spot, but really made things a lot easier for them, where they just need to worry about the result. And Philly, like they already need to start worrying about score differential. And we might have seen that um, against Carolina. They're down two with like 30 seconds to go. Um, and typically in that situation, the goalie would run out either to cover someone off ball or to try to double team the ball carrier. And they did not do that. DeLuca stayed in the net, which I forget if it was Kark or Quint or whoever it was, um, just saying like what they were doing or like what are they doing? And I think it was Anish pointed out maybe they're worried about goal differential where they're like, all right, we're not going to give this or we're not going to win this game. Let's just make sure we don't give up another one or another two.
Hmm.
Um, but if they're already thinking like that, then I mean that's a tough
When
way to
you
play all year.
lose, it is a tough way to play all year, and you probably that's one of the things I don't love about the goal differential is that it changes things like that, and it can hurt the spirit of the game. But when you lose by 14 in week two, I mean, it's gonna be in your mind regardless.
Yeah. And then, I mean, obviously week 4 is too soon, but at some point, unless Philly goes on a winning streak, like they're gonna have to flip that strategy, right? Where they're gonna have to be like, we need to score as many goals as possible, as fast as possible.
Mhm.
Where, uh, even if like they could be up by 1 or 2 late in the game and just really need to pressure the ball because we're like, we want to get this back and we want to be able to score 1 or 2 of our own to get some of those goals back because the wins are not going
Yeah.
to be enough. And then that maybe leaves them more vulnerable for the counterattack.
Mhm.
He's certainly not pulling the goalie out of the net in that situation. Um, but I mean, I even saw this with like the middle school team I was coaching, where like the guy one of our defenders, who's a really good player, just was so aggressive trying to take the ball away that he just got beaten on the rollback, and we gave up a couple of goals that way. So you wonder if that at some point, right, that's going to have to change for Philly. Obviously, I wish it had been against, I wish it would be against Boston, um, in Harvard or in Philly, somewhere late in the year where Boston can kind of capitalize on that too. But that's going to be really interesting. First and foremost, Boston's got to win the game. If they win the game 1-0 or 10-9, whatever, I don't care. Um, but if Boston's up, does Philly pressure the ball to try to get it back, try to tie it up, or are they just concerned about giving up another goal to make things even worse for them?
Yeah, that's it's an interesting thought you bring up there. It's obviously I feel like it's situation dependent. What is the differential?
Yeah,
But
and the
we'll
time remaining.
see. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. Any other thoughts before we give our predictions and wrap things up here?
I don't think so. No, no, let's do it.
All right. You think DeLuca gets to start in net again?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, has he been great? No, but you know, you don't have Dylan Ward anymore,
Yeah.
so I think obviously the Rhode Island I feel like was kind of a an outlier, so I think you have to ride with DeLuca if you're Philly. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's what Bill Tierney would do.
Yeah. I do think I agree that if he'd come out and put up another stinker against Carolina, maybe you go something different. But that they only give up 10 goals, which you figure is enough to win you most games, unless you're Utah.
Yeah.
So you certainly if Boston wins by double digits, or if Boston wins comfortably again, if they put up a really exorbitant goal total, I guess maybe win or loss for Philadelphia. If Philly wins, but if they win 19-18, I feel like he's still probably going to switch goalies. Um, but yeah,
Maybe it's just a Cannons problem though, then.
yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, lot of things to get excited about. Kind of no matter who you're a fan of. I think Philly's probably a little bit more nervous than Boston, but um, still,
Naturally.
yeah, a lot of questions going on. So yeah, Jack, let's have you give your score prediction. I'll give mine, and then we'll get out of here and get ready to watch some lacrosse.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I'm going to go 14-9 Cannons. I don't see Philly reaching double digits. I know that they put up, what was it, 14 or 16 in their
16.
first game, 16, but then obviously five against the Cannons and eight against Carolina last weekend. I I'm feeling good about the defense, the poles that the Cannons have in the lineup this week. I don't see Philly reaching double digits, so I'm gonna put them right at 9. Cannons probably not gonna put up 19 again, but the other two times out, Cannons have put up 10, but I feel like it's gonna be not a one or a two score game. I think Boston just kind of knows what they're doing against Philly, especially with, like we talked about Gavin Adler being out. I think the offense is just gonna click, and I feel like a uh five goal win it just feels right to me. So yeah, I'll go with 14-9.
All right. I hope you're right. I am going to go a different route. I think Philly's going to figure some things out, but I will still say Boston wins. I'll say 14-13.
Okay.
Yeah, I think again, I hope you're wrong, but I think they'll figure some things out.
You
Maybe
hope
Connor
I'm
Kelly,
wrong?
huh?
You hope I'm wrong?
No, sorry. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I hope they win 21-3, but that would definitely I feel good about them. Uh,
Yeah.
I joked that sketch that I put out today, like that reaction video, like if Philly loses another game by like a bunch of goals, they're gonna have to start borrowing goals from next year.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, but I think they're gonna figure things out, but I still trust Boston's offense and don't trust Philly's defense enough yet that I think they get it done. So we will see. It is Saturday night lacrosse for the second, no, not the second week in a row for Boston. But for the
But the
second
second
time,
time this year.
yeah, Saturday night lacrosse, Boston and Philly. Which as you mentioned, that's probably the best rivalry, the best matchup the league has so far. So definitely, I'm glad they want to put it in front of as many eyes as possible. Though, like I said, we do wish that was at one of these teams' homecomings. Um, yeah, so hope you're watching. And until next week, go Cannons, go Guard.
Go Cannons, go guard.
Boo!
Boo!